Mr. Speaker, I too am pleased to speak at the third reading of this bill. Sir, this bill is a major improvement on the current laws as they stand and which impinge on all food businesses across the country, sir. As the previous speakers have mentioned, this bill, currently we have a Food Act which is 30 years old, which is way out of date, and also some even worse food hygiene regulations which are about 40 plus years old, highly prescriptive, highly outdated, have led to a whole bunch of misalignment and inconsistencies among territorial authorities and local councils right across the country. It's been a nightmare for small businesses or all businesses operating in the food area to try and navigate their way through dealing with all of the complex, trying to fit within the parameters or the strict prescribed requirements in the existing legislation, sir. And thankfully, sir, that is now, we can all say haere to that regime. And haere mai to this food bill. It is a voluminous piece of legislation, sir. Long time in the making. 10 plus years ago, this legislation was conceived under the Labour government. There's been a lot of work going on, and I commend also the officials that have worked tirelessly over the years to craft this piece of legislation, sir, because it is a significant piece of legislation, but it also is very well drafted because it covers the full ambit of the full scope of all food businesses, whether they be a little small coffee cart, a marae that might have a little catering operation, a cafe, right through to major food exporters, manufacturers, meal producers, the like. So it is a significant piece of legislation, but it is really positive for our country because it, as the speakers have mentioned, the food sector is so important to our country, to our livelihood, to our standard of living. I just want to repeat this because these numbers are really important that people comprehend that 18% of the working population in New Zealand are employed directly or indirectly in the food sector. There's over around 35 to 40,000 regulated businesses that operate food businesses right across the country. But even more important, sir, is the turnover. Food retail has turned over some $26 billion a year. Total food manufactured in New Zealand is over $41.5 billion a year. And the food sector as a whole contributes over 52% of New Zealand's total value of exports. So those numbers alone, sir, really demonstrate how important and how crucial the food industry is to our country and to our way of life. And that's why, sir, it's really important that we have this piece of legislation now which is up to date, which is modern, which has brought us into the 21st century, whereby we are speaking the same language of our important customers, our trade customers overseas. Because, sir, an important aspect to our trade and our export industries is that we benefit from free trade agreements. And, sir, mutual recognition of our food safety systems is an important element of those free trade agreements, and they give our exporters an advantage in a highly competitive marketplace. So it's really important that this piece of legislation is enacted so we are actually walking the talk. We are actually providing a world-class, modern, risk-based, flexible food safety system which our customers, we can give them the confidence, but also we can give the confidence to not only New Zealand businesses, food businesses, but also to our own local consumers, sir. Because, as we know, when you produce food, especially, Māoris know this very well. When you're hosting manuhiri, your mana is on the line. Your mana is at stake when you host people. And the last thing that you want to do, and the last thing we as a nation would want to do to our manuhiri, to our visitors, is to have an outbreak of foodborne illnesses. I shudder at the thought of, when people fall crook, or when we hear of reports of serious outbreaks. I will test the Hansard people out with names like Campylobacteriosis, Salmonellosis, Listeriosis, and other forms of osis, E. coli, all those nasty foodborne illnesses, sir. It's really important that we have legislation fit for purpose, that's modern, that can actually deal with those high-risk businesses that are actually, perhaps not cutting a few corners or not being as stringent as they should be, but we're also, sir, we're not providing unreasonable or overbearing compliance costs on those businesses or industries which really don't have to try and, meet such high standards. And so that's one of the really commendable aspects of this bill, sir, is the sliding scale type approach based on the risk that various industries and businesses have in the food that they produce. And obviously a coffee cart is nowhere near as a higher risk as a major meal producer or exporter. And so this bill does very well in terms of capturing all of those different types of industry participants, of which, as I mentioned in previous contributions, sir, the food sector is very important to Māori because the primary sector, the land and sea, our bounty that we have in Aotearoa, Māori are major stakeholders in the primary sectors. My colleagues across the floor would know them well. Mr McKelvey would know Atiho up at the Wanganui River and Moriko and those major sheep and beef producers. Mr Ardern would know Paraninihi Ki Waitotara, PKW Incorporation. Māori are major participants in those fields, and they're also moving up the value chain, sir. They're moving up the value chain. The likes of Miraka Limited, a major Māori-owned dairy processor, taking on Fonterra, giving them a good crack as well, sir. And I need only talk about my own iwi down in the south, and Ngaitahu who are doing major plays into the dairy conversions and growing the milk supply from out of the south. So, sir, this piece of legislation is important for all New Zealand, all Kiwi businesses, for consumers, for our customers, for our reputation, and it's really important too also for Māori. And I'd just like to conclude, sir, by talking about the, as I call it, the cool aspect of this legislation, which unfortunately wasn't adopted by the government, and that was the Honourable Damien O'Connor's supplementary order paper concerning the country of origin labelling. And I am heartened by the remarks from the Minister that they will be looking into it, into that issue, because if there is, we were simply basing it on aligning the country of origin labelling between New Zealand and our major export market over there across the Tasman. And so I would look forward to hopefully seeing some progress in that area, because Kiwis, we do like to know where our kai is coming from. And I think if people go down and it's a single product item, if the pork chop, if you've got a pork chop there or a pork belly, you know, people will look again if they know it's from Ontario or from some big major hog producer over in North America. So, sir, we hope to see progress in that area, but otherwise this is a very, very great piece of legislation, and I commend it to the House. Kia ora tātou.
I call Stephen Browning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to be able to rise